Welcome everyone to another episode of World Gone Weird, where we try to figure out what's happening before the world, well, you know,
Exactly. Trying to make sense of the seemingly senseless. And there's certainly no shortage of material this week, is there?
No shortage at all. It's like the chaos faucet is stuck on full blast. Where do we even start?
Well, perhaps with the State Department layoffs, that seems like a significant event with potential long-term repercussions.
Ah yes, the Great Diplomatic Purge. 1350 people? That's practically a reality show elimination, except instead of a rose, they get a pink slip.
Sarah, come on. These are people's livelihoods we're talking about. Think about the families, the careers. It's devastating.
All right, tone it down a notch. But look, is this really that surprising? The guy's been talking about draining the swamp for years. Maybe this is just, what's he think is a good faith effort by the administration.
That's a rather simplistic view, isn't it? The article quotes Rubio saying it's about streamlining, eliminating positions, but at what cost? What specific metrics are they using to determine that these positions are, in his words, cumbersome?
Right, exactly. You can't just slash and burn and expect everything to be fine. These are experienced diplomats, people with crucial knowledge and relationships. You can't quantify that loss overnight.
Or maybe you can. Maybe they have figured out ways to automate a lot of it, or some new analysis software that just doesn't need that many people doing the things they were doing. We just don't know.
Automate diplomacy? Can you imagine? Dear Country X, our algorithm suggests you're being difficult. Please adjust your attitude. Sincerely, the United States. Bot.
See, that's funny, but also terrifying. Think about the potential for algorithmic bias in something like that. What if the algorithm is trained on data that reflects existing prejudices? It could exacerbate international tensions, not resolve them.
Precisely. And that's where the real unintended consequences come in. These layoffs aren't just about saving money. They're about shifting priorities, about reshaping the US's role in the world. What message does this send to our allies? What message does it send to our adversaries?
The message that this administration isn't afraid to do things differently, that they're willing to shake things up, which, some people might find refreshing.
Refreshing or reckless? I'm genuinely worried about the long-term impact on our ability to respond to global crises, to provide humanitarian aid, to, just be a force for good in the world.
A force for good? Otto, you're such an optimist. I'm pretty sure most countries just see us as a force, period. Good or bad is entirely subjective.
Well, I choose to believe that we can strive to be better, and dismantling our diplomatic corps is not the way to do it. Look at the USAID. The article mentions it's being dismantled. That's horrific. Who's going to provide assistance to countries in need?
That's a valid point, and it ties into a broader issue, the erosion of expertise. When you fire experienced professionals, you lose institutional knowledge, you lose the ability to make informed decisions. You're essentially flying blind.
Again, assuming there's not some big data analysis they're bringing in. But okay, all right, so the State Department shakeup is potentially bad. What else is on the doom and gloom menu for today?
Well, the Senate backing Ukraine aid is interesting in this context. Even with Trump's skepticism, there's still bipartisan support for providing assistance. It's almost a check on executive power, isn't it?
It's a glimmer of hope, honestly. A sign that maybe, just maybe, some semblance of sanity still exists in Washington. Despite what's happening in the State Department, it's somewhat comforting that there is still commitment to a major humanitarian effort such as the Ukraine aid package.
Until Trump decides he doesn't like the cut of Zelensky's jib and pulls the plug anyway. Then what? Does Congress have a backup plan? Or do they just throw their hands up and say, oh, well, we tried?
Exactly my thoughts. Congress is a bunch of talkers who can't seem to agree on what day it is. So that aid passes, but does it really matter in the long run if the executive branch is just planning to work against it?
The article mentions that Trump has had several calls with Putin since taking office, supposedly to resolve the war, but Russia has only intensified its attacks. What does that tell you?
It tells me that Putin is playing him, that he's using these calls to buy time, to project an image of being open to negotiation while continuing to pursue his objectives on the ground.
Or, gasp, that Putin knows what he wants and isn't going to let some clown in a red hat tell him what to do. It's possible for two people to disagree.
Oh, I'm sure they disagree on all sorts of things. Like, does Putin prefer his caviar shaken or stirred? Does Trump use tanning lotion or just bake under a heat lamp? These are the important questions.
Okay, let's try to be serious, yeah? The real issue here is the human cost of this war. Hundreds of civilians killed, millions displaced. It's a tragedy, and the US has a moral obligation to help.
Morality is a complex concept, my friend, and often it's a justification for actions that are driven by other motivations, resource competition, geopolitical strategy. These are the factors that truly shape international relations.
Bingo. It's about leverage. It's about power. It's about who comes out on top. And maybe, just maybe, this administration actually wants America to be on top when all is said and done. I get that you guys find that scary, but it's something I can support.
As long as on top doesn't involve a nuclear winter, I guess I'm willing to listen. But hey, while we're talking about things falling apart, what about those indiscriminate immigration raids in Los Angeles? That sounds like a real barrel of laughs.
Sarah, again, can we just show some compassion for a second? People are being rounded up based on the color of their skin, denied access to lawyers. It's a blatant violation of their rights.
The judge's order specifically cites the Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable seizure. It raises a fundamental question: to what extent can law enforcement rely on appearance as a basis for suspicion? Is there some scientific data that supports the targeting of certain ethnic groups for immigration enforcement?
See, this is where it gets tricky. Because the government will say, we're not targeting people because they're Latino. We're targeting areas where we know there's a high concentration of undocumented immigrants.
But that's a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? If you target Latino neighborhoods, you're going to find Latino immigrants. It doesn't mean they're all undocumented, and it certainly doesn't justify violating their rights.
So, it's a vicious cycle of racial profiling disguised as efficient law enforcement. Sounds about right. I bet the agents are just thrilled to be cast as the villains in this particular episode of Cops.
The article mentions that agents are considering the totality of circumstances, including appearance, location, and workplace. But the judge seems skeptical that these circumstances actually provide reasonable suspicion. It's a subjective assessment, isn't it? Open to interpretation and potential bias.
Well, sure, but think about it practically. If you're looking for a lost cat, are you going to spend time looking in the ocean or on a house? You are going to look where you think you are most likely to find it.
But people aren't cats, Jimmy. They have rights, they have families, they have lives. You can't just treat them like they're statistics.
Unless they are statistics, Otto. Then you can treat them however you want. Just kidding. Sort of.
The article also states that several U.S. citizens were detained or arrested. What recourse do they have? How do you quantify the damage caused by that kind of experience, the psychological trauma, the erosion of trust in law enforcement?
Exactly. It's about more than just legal rights. It's about human dignity. And these raids are stripping people of their dignity, creating fear and division within communities.
Or maybe they're, again, creating a secure border, protecting our citizens from... Wait, I can't say those words, can I? Never mind. It is hard to know the actual goals of these people.
Well, on the bright side, at least the ACLU is getting some exercise. All that filing lawsuits must be great for their cardio.
Humor is a coping mechanism, Sarah, I get it. But this is a serious issue with real-world consequences. We need to be critical of these tactics, to demand accountability from law enforcement, and to ensure that everyone's rights are protected, regardless of their immigration status.
Agreed. And it's not just about legal rights. It's about creating a society where everyone feels safe and valued, where people aren't afraid to go to work, to take their kids to school, to simply exist without fear of being targeted.
Yeah, kumbaya and all that. But while we're at it, should we talk about the cannabis farm worker on life support after that raid? Now that sounds like a mess.
Oh my God, that's horrific. What happened?
According to the article, he fell 30 feet while trying to evade the agents. Though, the United Farm Workers initially reported that he died in the fall.
So the facts are still unclear. That in itself seems alarming. I wonder why there is this information discrepancy. How does one accurately assess the situation, and is there some data available?
Unclear, but convenient for some narratives that this person fell. It sounds like a convenient way out of a possibly otherwise questionable situation. I'd like to see more details, but I am highly doubtful any will ever surface.
Whether it was an accident or something else, this man is critically injured. And the fact that tear gas was used on protesters, including a disabled veteran, it's just appalling.
Pepper spraying a disabled veteran? That's a bad look, even for this administration. Someone's getting a stern talking to, or at least a strongly worded tweet.
The article mentions that the farm manager was assaulted and handcuffed after asking for a warrant. What kind of training are these agents receiving? Is this standard procedure? Is it justified?
And the UFW is reporting that U.S. citizens were forced to delete videos and photos from their phones. That's straight-up authoritarian behavior.
All right, but is this actually surprising to you that an organization under investigation is being targeted for scrutiny? Why are these people working in an illegal cannabis facility anyway? Maybe some fault lies with this organization.
Again, Jimmy, you're missing the point. Even if these people were working at a cannabis farm that was operating outside the law, it doesn't justify violating their rights, using excessive force, or creating a climate of fear and intimidation.
Unless, of course, the point is to create a climate of fear and intimidation. Then mission accomplished. I bet the feds are high-fiving each other right now, metaphorically, of course. They're probably all wearing gloves.
Trump's response is also concerning. Directing Homeland Security to use whatever means is necessary to arrest people who don't obey the law. That's a blank check for abuse, isn't it? Where is the oversight? Where is the accountability?
It's a dog whistle. He's signaling to his base that he's tough on immigration, that he's willing to do whatever it takes, regardless of the consequences.
Or that the federal agents are trying to enforce and protect the law. It's not about the little guy, it's about the law. Are people starting to forget what the law is?
The law, as interpreted by Donald Trump, which, let's be honest, is a constantly evolving document.
And how does this all connect back to our theme of unintended consequences? Well, these raids, these policies, they create a ripple effect. They impact families, communities, the economy, and they undermine the very principles of justice and fairness that we claim to uphold.
It erodes trust in government, it creates fear and division, and it makes it harder to address the root causes of immigration issues, like poverty, violence, and lack of opportunity in other countries.
Or, and hear me out, it deters future illegal immigration. A tough approach might be just what people are looking for.
And speaking of tough approaches, what about Trump touring the flood damage in Texas? Talk about a photo op gone wrong.
Yeah, that was awkward. Offering love and support while simultaneously attacking a reporter for asking a legitimate question about flood warnings? It's tone deaf, to say the least.
The article mentions reports that FEMA's response was slowed by new cost-cutting guidelines. Is there any verifiable evidence to support that claim? What were the specific delays, and what impact did those delays have on the rescue efforts?
Oh, give it a rest. He's just trying to show support. There is no way anyone can make everyone happy. We should appreciate he at least made an effort.
An effort? He attacked a reporter. He praised the response of FEMA, which may or may not have been adequate. It's also hollow.
Hollow and predictable. It's like watching a rerun of disaster response theater. You know the script by heart, but you're still vaguely entertained by the sheer absurdity of it all.
The rapid increase of the river in just 1 hour suggests that current flash flood risk models may need revision. Are existing precipitation intensity assessments sufficient? Does terrain factor into the equation enough?
It's also a reminder of the human cost of these disasters. 120 people dead, including that young firefighter. And so many still missing, including those children at the summer camp. It's just heartbreaking. We should also wonder if climate change is having an effect on our weather and should make better judgments about what that means.
Right. But let's focus on what's really going on. This happened under his watch. Now he's swooping in to act like he cares. Classic misdirection.
Misdirection, distraction, denial. It's the holy trinity of political spin. And Trump is a master of all three.
The article ends with a promise of speedy aid to the region. How is that aid being allocated? Is it reaching the people who need it most? What safeguards are in place to prevent corruption or mismanagement?
Those are all valid questions, and they highlight the importance of holding our leaders accountable, of demanding transparency, and of ensuring that disaster relief efforts are effective and equitable.
Or maybe, just maybe, you guys are being too cynical. Maybe he genuinely wants to help these people. Maybe he believes he's doing the best he can. Is that so hard to believe?
Yes, Jimmy, it is. But hey, at least we have plenty to talk about next week, when the world will undoubtedly be even weirder. See everyone then.
Stay informed, stay engaged, and try to find some light in the darkness. Until next time.
Maintain a skeptical outlook, seek data, and always question the narrative. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, whatever they said, try not to believe everything. See ya.